You know, there's this story we're always told about getting older. It's a story about decline, right? About slowing down, about the best years being behind us. But what if that whole story is just wrong? What if the actual science and the real-life experiences of millions of people point to a completely different and way more hopeful truth about how our lives unfold? Today, we're going to dig into a scientifically proven phenomenon that just flips that old narrative completely on its head. It suggests that our most stable, content, and satisfying years aren't something to look back on, but something to look forward to.
Does this sound at all familiar? I mean, you've navigated the really demanding decades, building a career, raising a family, planning for the future. You've handled all the pressure, the competition, that constant feeling of striving for what's next. And now, maybe there's this sense of just waiting for that peace you were promised, for that moment when the pressure finally, truly lets up. And here is the big surprise, the paradox we're going to unpack. What if that feeling isn't just wishful thinking? Because the data shows, and we're talking consistently, across different cultures, that the most emotionally stable and deeply satisfying time of your life often kicks in right around your 60s and just keeps climbing. This isn't some self-help myth. It's a well-documented psychological reality called the happiness U-curve.
So, here's our roadmap for this journey. We'll start with the happiness paradox itself. Then we'll rethink life after 60, looking at the myths versus the reality. We'll uncover the secret behind it all, something called emotional mastery, and then get really practical with 3 keys to well-being. Finally, we'll talk about the wisdom of the long game and lay out your path to contentment.
All right, let's dive right into the science. The whole idea that we actually get happier as we get older, it just goes against so much of what we hear in pop culture, right? But researchers studying well-being all over the globe have found this U-shaped pattern is just incredibly consistent. It's a paradox because it totally defies our expectations, but it's grounded in some really solid evidence about how we evolve emotionally.
This chart lays it out perfectly. So in our youth, that's the first bar, life satisfaction is usually pretty high. We're full of optimism, the future feels wide open. Then comes middle age, our 40s and 50s, and that's the dip, the bottom of the U. It's a time of just immense pressure. People call it the sandwich generation for a reason. You're often juggling careers, mortgages, taking care of aging parents, and raising your own kids. The focus is all on responsibility and striving. But then, after this low point, something amazing happens. As you can see in that third bar, happiness doesn't just bounce back, it reliably climbs, often soaring past the levels of our youth. And this climb isn't an accident. It's a predictable and really powerful shift in how our minds work.
To really grasp the power of the U-curve, we kind of have to consciously fight against our own cultural programming about aging. Society loves to paint later life as this time of loss, anxiety, and just general decline. But the psychological reality for so many people is the total opposite. It's time we separated the myth from what science actually shows us is real.
And the contrast is just stark. The myth says aging is all about physical and mental decline. The reality is about achieving this profound kind of emotional mastery. The myth tells us to expect more anxiety about the future. The reality for so many is a deep, stable sense of contentment. We're taught to fear losing our competitive edge. But what really happens is we find a new autonomy, the freedom to live by our own rules, not someone else's. And where the myth is obsessed with loss, the reality is built on an incredible learned skill, emotional regulation. Trusting this positive path is the real key to using its unique strengths.
So what's the secret sauce here? What's really driving this incredible upward swing in our well-being? Well, it's not about external things like getting wealthier or more successful. It's an internal change. The secret to the U-curve, the engine making that happiness climb, is the development of a powerful set of psychological skills we can call emotional mastery.
Okay, this is probably the most important idea in our whole explainer. This boosting contentment doesn't just happen to you. It's an active skill you've learned. It's the result of your brain after decades of dealing with life's ups and downs, literally learning better, more efficient ways to respond to stress. You have earned this skill. It's a type of wisdom that protects your well-being and helps you find peace even when life throws its inevitable challenges at you. And this mastery is really built on 3 key psychological shifts.
The first of these shifts is a huge change in our time perspective. Think about it. When we're young, it feels like we have all the time in the world, so we focus on the future, getting skills, building a career, saving up. But as we get older, we start to recognize that time is finite. And this isn't a sad thing. It's actually incredibly clarifying.
It makes us shift our priorities away from those long-term future goals and toward enjoying the present moment. We start valuing emotional meaning and what feels good now instead of always striving for the next thing.
The second pillar here is enhanced emotional regulation. You can almost think of your brain like a muscle. After decades of practice handling stressful job interviews, tough conversations, personal setbacks, it just gets stronger and better at managing stress. Neurologically, older adults often show less of a knee-jerk reaction in the amygdala, which is the brain's little alarm center. It's not that you stop feeling negative emotions, but they just lose their power to completely hijack your day. You can see frustration or disappointment and just let it pass by without letting it ruin everything.
And the third adaptation is social selectivity. Now, this isn't about becoming a hermit, not at all. It's about becoming a very wise curator of your social life. As our perspective on time changes, our social goals change too. We're just less interested in having a huge network for work or social climbing. Instead, we learn that our emotional energy is a precious, finite resource. So, social selectivity is that conscious choice to stop pouring that energy into relationships that are draining or shallow, and to focus it really deeply on the high-quality, supportive connections that truly make us feel good. It's a powerful move from quantity to quality.
So understanding the theory behind all this is one thing, but the real magic is in actually putting it to use. You don't have to just sit back and wait for these changes to happen. You can actively help them along and even speed them up with some intentional choices that work with the wisdom your brain is already developing. So let's break it down into 3 practical keys to well-being. And you'll notice how they line up perfectly with those 3 psychological shifts we just talked about. We're going to practice appreciating the present moment, intentionally minimize conflict, and actively curate our social network. Let's look at exactly how to do each one.
The first key is present moment appreciation, which is really just the practice of savoring. This is how you consciously lean into that shift in time perspective. So instead of drinking your coffee while already planning your day, you take a moment to actually taste it, to feel the warmth of the mug. When you're on a walk, you make a point to notice the color of the leaves or the way the sun is hitting a building. These little acts of mindfulness are so powerful. They pull you right into the present and create these little pockets of genuine contentment, building up your well-being one small pleasure at a time.
Next up, intentional conflict minimization. This is all about supporting your brain's natural ability to regulate emotions by consciously choosing your battles. When you feel a conversation getting stressful, you make the choice to de-escalate instead of jumping in. You learn to spot your own triggers and just take a breath before you react. And let me be clear, this is not about being passive, it's about being powerful. It's having the strength to walk away from pointless arguments and the wisdom to let the small stuff go, so you can save your peace and your energy for what really matters.
And finally, actively curate your social network. This is where you take social selectivity and turn it into a deliberate practice. Just take a moment and think about your relationships. Pinpoint those few people who consistently lift you up, who you feel energized after seeing, and then make a conscious choice to invest your time there. And at the same time, identify the connections that consistently leave you feeling drained or just less than. The goal here isn't to create drama. It's just to gently and intentionally create a little distance to protect your own well-being.
Now, I just want to take a moment and affirm something. If any of this is resonating with you, if you felt yourself appreciating the present more, having less tolerance for drama, wanting deeper connections, I want you to know that your experience is not only valid, it's a sign of incredible emotional growth. This is wisdom you've earned. And check this out, this just reinforces everything we've been talking about. Research shows that emotional intelligence, the ability to understand, use, and manage emotions in positive ways, is a skill you build your whole life, and it often peaks in our 60s and beyond. You are not declining, you are arriving. This is a stage of life that is defined by psychological strength, resilience, and a deep, earned understanding of how to live a good life.
Okay, so as we start to wrap this up, let's distill all this information down into one clear path forward. This journey to contentment isn't about chasing some crazy, ecstatic state of happiness. It's really about embracing the wisdom you already have and making small, intentional choices that are in line with it.
If there's only one thing you take away from our time together, please let it be this. The U-curve is real. Your well-being is primed to go up, and it's fueled by the emotional mastery you've spent a lifetime developing. And you can lock it in by shifting your focus away from all the noise and onto what is genuinely meaningful to you. So before you go, I want to leave you with a gentle challenge. Just take a quiet moment right now if you can, and ask yourself this. Who in my life consistently leaves me feeling drained instead of supported?
Be really honest. I bet an answer popped in your head almost immediately. Here is your first powerful step. Take that one relationship you just thought of and make a simple choice. The goal isn't to cut them off with some big, angry confrontation. It's just to gently and strategically minimize contact. Maybe you say no to an invitation, or you let a call go to voicemail, or you just keep a necessary interaction short and to the point. This one small act is you, right now, using the wisdom of the U-curve to protect your own well-being.
And that really brings us to the heart of it all. The science of the happiness U-curve is basically proof that your greatest period of emotional stability and contentment isn't in your past. It's either happening for you right now, or it's just around the corner. The key is knowing the power you have through social selectivity and present moment appreciation. By consciously choosing to prioritize meaning and quality over stress and quantity, you're not just hoping for a peaceful life, you're actively building it. You are choosing to invest your precious energy only in what truly matters. And that, right there, is the foundation for a life defined by deep and lasting contentment.